So, as you probably already know, many of the videos on our YouTube channel are devoted to grafting. Grafting is wonderful. You can start off with a tree that you fall in love with, and then you can decide that you really wanted to add some other variety to it, or you didn't actually like it at all. You can convert it to another tree. So what I'm standing in front of is a mango seedling hedge. And this was about 15 or more years ago that I planted a bunch of what I felt were interesting seeds here because it takes advantage of the neighbor's irrigation. So those seedlings grew fast. I wanted to hide the building behind us, and I also wanted to see what kind of fruit those seeds would produce. So we've actually gotten fruit from almost all of these trees. I think there are about 20 trees here, and out of those 20, I think perhaps two are worth keeping. Two varieties are worth keeping. So what happens to the rest of these trees? You got it, top work. And so, like for instance, right back here, this used to be a really huge tree. I know it's pretty tall now, but you'll notice the branches are fairly small diameter. And that's because that's one of those trees that the fruit was not worth keeping. So the diameter of the trunk is about like that. And a couple years ago, we cut that back and I top worked onto the shoots. So right now we're looking for 2019 to get fruit from those grafts that I put on. So that's one instance for why you might want to graft. If you planted a seed in your yard, which a lot of people do, you buy a mango and it'd be nice to have a mango tree, plant it, and then you find out the fruit is not as good as the fruit that the seed came from. So no problem. You just cut it back and graft onto it. Other people might have room for just one or two or possibly three mango trees in their yard, but they've fallen in love with a lot more varieties than that. Not a problem. Just add them by top working part of those trees. It's lots of fun, and you can get, reasonably you can get about a handful of varieties on a tree. I know that there's a record, somebody, I think it's a monk over in Indonesia, has gotten more than 300 varieties on a tree. Don't fool around with that record. Just cut it down to your basic favorites. A lot of our viewers have started top working trees, and we like to encourage this as much as we can. So we offer scions, and people place their orders for scions, and once a week we prepare them, and then the next week we will harvest them and ship them off with 3-day priority mail. And we've heard that a lot of the people have had a lot of success with grafting these scions. It's a really fun thing to do, and so if you have the time and interest, try grafting. So right now we're in the middle of October, and this is a great time to graft, at least I think so. In the middle of the summer, of course, we are just really tired with harvesting all the mangoes, and also we don't have a lot of time. So time and energy are in better supply right now, but also it's like a gentler climate for it. In the middle of the summer, the sun is pretty brutal, and yes, you can top work during those times, but I find at this time of year, the sun is gentler, the trees are still growing, and grafting works very well. Now, I'll probably keep grafting through the end of November, and then when the weather starts getting a little bit too cold, I'll cut back on it, way back on it, and then after that, the trees start to develop blooms. Even before they push out the blooms, there's little buds for blooms. And now, it's not like a deal killer. Your graft is not destined to fail if it pushes out flowers instead of leaves on the first go round. It just decreases the chances of a successful graft because all that energy goes for something that's not really helping the graft. You will take those flowers off as they emerge and hope that the graft still has enough energy to produce leaves. But basically, it's not the best situation. Right now is. The fall is a great time to graft, and then after the trees flower is when the next great opportunity would be. So since we sell scions, we're going to show you what is involved with preparing them and getting them to you. First thing that we will do is prepare some scions to harvest next week, and then second thing is we will harvest things that we prepared a week ago. You will see the whole process from preparing them to harvesting them to wrapping them and getting them in the flat rate box so that they can get to the customer. So this is Ugly Betty, and we have an order for a scion of this variety. So right now I'm going to prepare this for next week. You might be able to see this situation right here. This is newer growth and it's more flexible. It's probably going to be okay in a week, but I would rather not take the chance. So what I'm going to do is just cut that new part off and then snip the leaves off of their stems. So you can see a whole video on preparing scions on our channel, but this is what I do when there's an order for scion, and next week that will be ready to come back and harvest. So here are some scions that we prepared a week ago, and this is what happens after a week when you cut the leaf off the stem. You might be able to tell that they're yellow now instead of green, and they just will fall off. Some of them will fall off just in the wind also, but that is ready to harvest. So I've got two scions right here, the same branch. And I left the leaf on because we don't use scions that are that long. So basically there's no buds on the bottom. So no buds, no food stored there. So there's two. And then another case of these stems just falling off. So there's our 3 Alfonso for our order. So we've gotten all of our scions for one order, and so now it's time to put them in the box. So you might think I like to send garbage along with the order, but actually these catalogs that you all seem to get too many of are a great way to wrap these scions so they don't stick to each other. I mean, they're already wrapped so they don't stick to its little buddy of the same variety, but I like to just put a little bit of extra protection here for these. So get through the stack here. Now you can order as many as you like. Sometimes we just send out a few scions at a time, And other times we have to actually send them in a bigger box than this. But keep in mind when you order them, it's a lot of work to graft also. So you don't want to have your order be larger than the time and energy you have to put into it. And that's ready to go to the post office. Of course, we'll put the label on there first, but that's how it comes. It's Monday afternoon, and this should arrive by Thursday. It's this priority mail, 3-day flat rate. Most of the time, our customers get their package on Thursday. A lot of times, it actually arrives before then. If you live someplace really remote, it might arrive on Friday. So the best thing to do when you get your scions is to graft as soon as possible. The fresher the better. If you aren't able to graft within a few days, just put your scions in the vegetable drawer of your refrigerator. That helps, them stay fresh for longer, but try and get them on the trees as soon as possible. So if you want more information about how to order your scions, look on themangoplace.com. We have a page about ordering scions, and you can think about all the varieties that you would like to grow and send us your order. So anyway, good luck with all of your grafting.